Welcome to the Restorative Justice Community Court ribbon cutting ceremony. My name is Margaret Kulujian, and I'm the Restorative Justice Community Court Coordinator. Thank you for coming. I know that all of you have a busy schedule, not to mention the recent meeting restrictions. We really appreciate the fact that you are here. We are grateful for your support and all of the efforts to make this day possible. Let me introduce our guests. Amy Cappanelli, Cook County Public Defender. State Senator Iris Martinez. Commissioner Bridget Degnan. Commissioner Louis Arroyo. Alderwoman Rosanna Rodriguez. Alderman Ariel Reboires. Alderman Carlos Ramirez Rosa. Alderman Felix Cardona. We are guests of Father Stanley Jankowski from St. Hyacinth Basilica. Father Stanley and Pastor Bruce Ray will start with an opening statement of prayer, and after that we'll be hearing from Chief Judge Timothy Evans about his vision for restorative justice in general. Then Judge Christina Ryan, who is the presiding judge over the Restorative Justice Community Court, and also from Judge Beatriz Santiago, who is a part of Restorative Justice team. After that, we'll hear from our elected officials, cut the ribbon, and officially open the first Restorative Justice Community Court on the northwest side of Chicago.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Father Stan. I am the pastor of St. Hyacinth Basilica. So my friends, let's open our gathering with a short prayer. I will have a first part and the second part. Please rise. Please rise. That's for the nice spiritual exercise. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Almighty and eternal God, we have gathered here together today to bless and solemnly open the place of a new hope to a young man entangled in the problems of his own nature. Jesus Christ, our risen Lord, you are the only hope of every man who cries from the depths of his abyss, error, and lowliness for the light of truth and the warmth of love. Please, Lord, be with us and all people of goodwill, so that our hearts filled with concern for the younger generation do much to bring this hope into the lives of those who have lost it. May our lives and conduct be filled with the gifts of your Spirit, and please make us every day fighters for the works of God. You who live and reign forever and ever. Amen.
Remain standing as we continue. God of justice, God of mercy, and God of reconciliation, we give you thanks for this special day when we see the marriage of justice and mercy in this place of restorative justice. And we thank you for this gathering and this celebration and your presence with us, for in your presence we find life, we find reconciliation, and we find peace. May all who walk through these doors of Resurrection Hall find new life and a new start and a new beginning. And may all of this community, all those who find justice here and peace here, that it will build our community and it will make it a place of shalom, a place of wholeness, and a place of restoration. We pray in the name of our Lord and our Savior Jesus. Amen.
Thank you very much, Father Stanley, for making us feel so welcome. This great church and what this basilica means to this whole community. We sincerely appreciate it, and we look forward to working with you in the months and years to come. One more round of applause for Father Stanley. Ladies and gentlemen, this Restorative Justice Court that we're going to be dedicating today is one that has emerged from the work of many people. And I certainly want to recognize Margaret Kalugian, who is hiding and standing in the back there. Margaret and Judge Ryan and Judge Santiago have been a great team. They decided that we needed a new guide for the young people who will be coming through this court. And they literally put together the guide that you have in your laps or in your seat. And that guide will guide the young people who are coming into this court so that they will know what their responsibilities are, they will know what's expected of them, and they will realize that we have not given up on them. The elected officials who are here, and let me just ask all of the elected officials to please stand, and I'd like you to join me in giving them a great round of applause for what they have done. This is not easy. The aldermen are here, the commissioners are here, and I know how busy it is for an aldermanic day. I was one for about 18 years before putting on my judicial robe. So I appreciate the aldermanic responsibilities being delayed a bit while you come here today. And of course, our commissioners who are here make certain that we have adequate funding for this court. And we will be dedicating another court like this in Inglewood 1 week from today. And they also help us fund a restorative justice court that is already in existence in North Lawndale. So would you mind just one more time giving the elected officials a great round of applause? I appreciate that. And of course, we have representatives here who will be in court with us on a day-by-day basis. And my number one partner, who has always been by my side with every innovative idea, even if I was having more work done by her and by her assistance, has been the public defender, Amy Cappanelli. Would you mind please giving her a great round of applause? And she has Crystal here with her and Lori here with her. You can stand, please, representatives of the Public Defender's Office. Thank you. We have the State's Attorney's Office well represented here as well. State's Attorney Kim Fox has been by our side as well, and she's represented today by, I see, Jennifer Coleman. And I didn't see Emily Cole. Yeah, there she is. Let's give Emily Cole a great round of applause. Appreciate what they have done. We also get great cooperation out of the clerk's office, and I've already introduced to you the new clerk. Just a matter of months. We got to make sure that she's ready, willing to go. Judge Santiago has already told me that as a Puerto Rican American, that she's going to make sure the court is welcoming her. Clerk, just get ready. We will be, all right. We are also able to recognize that the judges who will be working here and the staff, the coordinators, they had to be trained. And we wanted the best experts we could find to do the training. And several of them are here. Not all of them are here today, but for those who are here, I just want to take a moment to recognize them. One is Sheila Murphy, Judge Sheila Murphy retired. Sheila Murphy was the first one to start talking to me about restorative justice many years ago. And her partner from the UIC John Marshall Law School, Professor Singh. Please, let me ask both to stand. We sincerely appreciate what they have done to make certain that the training was done and done appropriately. We also sent our people who you'll be hearing from today to the local communities dealing with restorative justice. They learned about restorative justice in Lawndale. They learned about it from people on my staff. But we also not only sent them to UIC John Marshall, but we sent them to New York to see how the system worked in New York, to make certain that when this court gets started in this community, that we can truly save the lives of the young people who will be coming before us. So for all of you who made this day possible, please allow me to applaud you for what you have done. I sincerely appreciate all of your efforts. And let me just say that we have recognized for a long time that young people need a second chance. About 120 years ago, right here in Chicago, they could see that the group that they considered to be juveniles needed to have some extra help. And they could see that these juveniles, roughly ages 12 to 18, were not little adults. They were juveniles. They needed the help. They were people who were sensation-seeking. They were risk-takers. They were very vulnerable to peer pressure. And they did not always consider the consequences of their actions. And so what they did 120 years ago was to separate these juveniles from the regular adults who came to court so that we could provide special services for these young people. And that's what we're trying to do today for this next group of young people. They are called emerging adults. They are between the ages of 18 and 26. Can you say that with me? Emerging adults?
Emerging adults.
I want you to know about that particular group, because even though society recognizes them as being adults, they can be drafted, they can sign contracts, they can do a number of things, they still are exhibiting the kind of conduct that the juveniles exhibit. They are just as much adolescents as the juveniles that I just described to you. And the reason we know that now, and they didn't know that 120 years ago, is that we now have brain science that has analyzed this emerging adult group that I'm talking about. And it's been discovered scientifically that their brain suffers from the same problem that the brain of the juveniles suffer from. And that is that the prefrontal cortex, that part of the brain that does the planning, that does the judgment, that decides what to do and what not to do, and that part of the brain that considers the consequences of one's action, does not completely develop until age 26. So if a 13-year-old without the prefrontal cortex would jump into a new Cadillac car that he or she sees their 13-year-old friend driving, without asking, how did a 13-year-old get a Cadillac to drive? They jump into that car and they don't realize that when the car gets stopped and somebody gets charged with stealing that car, everybody in the car is going to be charged. What I'm telling you that a 13-year-old will do, I'm telling you the 19-year-old will do the same thing. They see their 19-year-old friend driving a Cadillac car, and they will jump in that Cadillac car for a joyride without asking, where did this 19-year-old get money for a new Cadillac car? So that's what I'm saying here. These emerging adults that we will be dealing with in this community right now, what has been happening is we see them sensation seeking, risk taking. They do the same thing that these other young people do. They skip school. They engage in sexual conduct that we would not want them to be engaging in. They engage in access to too much liquor, too many substance abuses, so many things that can hurt them, but they don't stop there. They fight. And they break in cars and they break in houses. And so far, the communities would simply arrest them, prosecute them, send them to jail, and they would come back with the same problems that they left with. But in talking to people like our aldermen who are here, and Ario was right with us from day one. One day I lassoed him and he spent the whole day with me learning how we could help these young people. And we have discovered that we cannot prosecute our way out of the kinds of crimes that these emerging adults commit. What we want to do is step into their lives. And we say to them, when you get arrested, we're not going to send you away to jail. We are going to embrace you with restorative conduct. We are going to make certain that you repair the harm that you have committed, but also that you get the kind of help that you need so that you won't engage in this kind of conduct in the future. So that's what restorative justice is all about. The prosecutor's office and the public defender's office, they talk to this arrested young person and they talk to their lawyer, even if the lawyer is not from the public defender's office, to make sure that these young people are willing to go through this. And what they have to do is they have to acknowledge what they did to the victim. And they have to acknowledge what the impact on the victim has been. And yes, we want them to empathize with those victims. And in many instances, to give restitution to them. Whatever was taken from the victim, they have the responsibility to work and pay that back. But in addition to that, in repairing the harm, we tell them we need to repair you. That people who hurt people have generally been hurt themselves. And we have to heal them before this restorative justice system will work. And so we start to work with them. The Office of Social Services, that's here represented by our director, who is Sharon Hoffman, and I'll ask Sharon to stand for a moment. And Sharon's assistant is Sharon Tart here. Sharon Tart, please stand, Sharon. They will be bringing resources into this community to make available to these young people, these emerging adults, so that if they have a mental health problem, they can get that problem addressed. If they are addicted to drugs, they can get that problem addressed. If they need to further their education, we can help them with that, to get them GEDs or high school or higher educational opportunities done. If they need to prepare for a job, we can help them prepare for that job. And we can make it possible for them to heal, because we have to tell them that they can't heal depending upon time going by. They can't heal depending upon revenge and time. The only way they can heal completely is to heal themselves and to be surrounded by people who are committed to their healing. So that's what this court is all about. All of the young people who live around this community that are identified by our litigants and our lawyers and our judges can now come to this facility. They love this facility. Father Stanley has been introducing them to this community for a long time. So they know they're going to get blessed when they come here. And I hope they know before we're done that they're also going to be healed when they come here. So let me thank all of you again for coming. What you may not know, and Ricky can tell you, he's from my staff, and I think I saw Melanie Lomax, who's from my staff, and Pat Heisler. Pat is Hardash. She works with Heisler all the time, and they are twins in effect. Would you mind just standing so they'll see that my community is represented here too from my office? And where's Marta? Marta Mandova, over to my left. Please give her a round of applause as well. Who does this? Oh, okay. Now, Margaret points out that we have a new communications director, and she's going to make certain that this kickoff and this ribbon cutting is covered by all of the newspapers in this community. Mary Wisniewski from the Tribune, and from the Sun-Times, and from other institutions has joined with us. And Mary, we appreciate all that you are doing and all that you will do to make sure that the world knows that we're not interested in just warehousing our young people. We want to save them. We want to cure them. We want to give them a second chance. Most of us have been the beneficiary of a second chance, and that's what we want to give to them. And I thank all of you for being here to make certain that that second chance is available. Thank you very, very much. Now, Judge Ryan.
Like the Avondale Restorative Justice Community Court we are opening here today. Through judicial reform and community partnerships like this, we all work together to make our communities stronger and can break the cycle of recidivism that plagues criminal justice today. In 2014, I was appointed to preside over the Maywood Drug Court, one of Cook County's problem-solving courts, where people charged with nonviolent felonies and addiction issues are sent to treatment instead of jail. My work with the problem-solving courts in Cook County is the highlight of my career, and I'm proud to continue that here with the Avondale Restorative Justice Community Court. Our criminal justice system too often functions like a fixed-gear bicycle. We've been stuck with one gear for far too long, and that's made meeting the challenges of our time even more difficult. Different gears on a bike make the journey easier. You have the right tool to tackle the hills. Problem-solving courts and restorative justice community courts add more gears to our bikes. They help us on our journey to make our communities stronger and safer. Thanks to the leadership, I'm a shorty. So you can't tell that when I'm on the bench as much. Thanks to the leadership of Chief Judge Timothy Evans, Cook County now has problem-solving courts in the city of Chicago and in every district courthouse in Cook County. After serving in drug court, I now preside over mental health court and veterans treatment court, where again, I have an opportunity to send nonviolent offenders to treatment programs instead of jail. Participants go through a strict 2-year program, and upon successful completion, they graduate, and their felony conviction can be vacated from their record. I've personally graduated nearly 80 individuals. I'm not bragging or being boastful when I tell you nearly every one of them has said the program saved their lives. Every success makes the program worthwhile, but so does every failure. Statistically, even participants who fail to graduate still have lower recidivism rates and are better off having gained the skills they need to make better choices in their lives. It's a long journey for them, but alternative justice and problem-solving courts give them another gear to their bikes to help them eventually reach their destination. In 2016, I attended the Community Justice International Summit here in Chicago, where the grant for the North Avondale Restorative Justice Community Court was announced. Last year, Chief Judge Evans held an informational meeting about restorative justice and his desire to expand the North Avondale Restorative Justice Community Court model to other areas of Cook County. Now, just a little more than a year later, with his guidance, we are here today to open the Avondale Restorative Justice Community Court, and soon a 3rd Restorative Justice Community Court to support Englewood. Arriving to today has been hard work. The people with me here today, many of you, and countless others in the community who could not be here today, have all worked tirelessly to make this a reality. These are troubled times, filled with pandemic and protest. It is easy to get lost in the news cycle of unrest. But when I look out at each of you here today, I am filled with pride and hope. Hope for the northwest side of Chicago, hope for Cook County, hope for criminal justice reform here and nationally. I want to thank Chief Judge Evans for seeing how important this work is to me and the faith he's shown by entrusting me to share his vision for restorative justice community courts. I'm also grateful for the support of the Cook County Commissioners who are here with us today. It's been a pleasure the past few months to meet with our elected officials who are here today, as well as those who could not attend. Every time Margaret and I meet with an alderperson or police commissioner, we were so excited and energized by the support and commitment to this project. And a very special thank you to my court coordinator, Margaret Kalusian, without whom none of this would have been possible, hiding behind me. Everyone we've met is so proud of their neighborhood and committed to improving justice for all. I stand here today with you, supported by you to do such important work that will impact everyone in the city that we all love so dearly. Thank you for the opportunity to continue to serve you and to make our communities stronger.
Now, Judge Beatrice Santiago, also the judge assigned to this particular court.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here today. As when Evans called me and told me that he wanted me to say a couple of words to everybody here today, I started reflecting on my experiences as a Puerto Rican woman growing up in the Humboldt Park area, living there all my life, and I still reside there, and noting all the issues that are unique to growing up in an urban neighborhood. In the last 2 months, we as a country have witnessed the killing of George Floyd, which brought about a racial justice movement and has put a spotlight on the issues and the reality of race in this country. In particular, the criminal justice system, it's clear, has failed people of color, black and brown people, and in particular, our young people. And it's clear that it's failed when you look at the fact, for example, here in Cook County, although Hispanics and blacks each make up 25% of the population, yet when you look at the jails, there's at least 80% of our people there. When you see the disproportionate in sentencing where you have a person of color and you compare that to a white person and the same background, the same crime, and a lot of times different treatments or different sentencing. When you see the fact that black and brown people are stopped and searched more disproportionately, we have an issue. It's clear that the criminal justice system right now is not actually working. In conjunction, the violence, as a city, we are in a state of an emergency. Violence is at an all-time high, and that's despite the fact that officers have been deployed to hot zone areas to try to quell the violence. That's also not the answer here. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. We need to bring resources to hurting communities, and restorative justice courts does that. They bring resources that are sorely needed in communities, specifically communities of color. When you refer an emerging adult to a restorative justice court, the hope is that the emerging adult will see the harm that it's impacted on the individual and as a community. The responsible individual is given an opportunity to make amends to the victim as well as to the community, thereby integrating the responsible person back into the community and making them whole. And by the same time, it's the hope, it's the goal that by doing so, it will reduce recidivism and it will reduce the problems of crime in the community. And it does it by giving the victim satisfaction, because the victim is a part of this, and the victim will be less likely to seek revenge, which we see oftentimes with young people. And it gives the offender satisfaction, and it teaches the offender that his actions, there's a consequence to their actions, and they're less likely to commit crimes. It's worked in other countries, and it's our hope that it'll work here as well. We have to try something different. I have to give credit to Judge Evans. I know that Judge Evans probably isn't very pleased about the fact that I'm saying that criminal justice system as it stands right now isn't working, but I gotta give him credit, and where credit is due, because he realizes that we have to do something different. We have to be innovative. And I have to give him credit for having that spirit and that goal in mind. And I also want to thank you all that are here today, that are willing to participate in this movement to try something different, to bring resources back to the community, and to try to make crimes go down, make the community a whole, and hopefully bring the process of healing, which is what restorative justice is all about. Thank you.
Cappanelli, Public Defender.
Well, thank you everyone for coming. And of course, I want to thank Chief Judge Evans most of all. He has been such a courageous leader in this effort to bring needed change. You know, there's over 400 judges in the criminal system, many different lawyers, whether you're a defense lawyer or a prosecutor, clerks, sheriffs. You know, not everybody believes in what we're doing here, right? It's hard to bring change, any kind of change, to a system that has been the same for decades. And just like Judge Santiago said, you know, we've been doing the same thing, expecting different results, right? So it took a lot of courage and a lot of people, many of you who are here today, and all of us in the system, to say and agree with Judge Evans that we want to do something different here. We don't want to keep sending people to prison for drug cases. We don't want to send people to prison for driving on suspended licenses, for criminal damage to property, for theft cases, for burglary cases, for stolen car cases like Judge Evans told you. We knew that our system was broken, and we knew our system was racist. And we know it is racist as we stand here today. So none of this would be here, our second court and our third court opening on Monday, without the leadership of Judge Evans, who, he's not telling you this today, but there is pushback. There's always pushback. There's always second guessing. Are we doing the right thing? Are we making the community safer? And we already know from what we have seen in North Lawndale that we have saved many lives in North Lawndale. And remember, every client who comes to a courtroom has a family, have neighbors, have people they work with, people they go to church with and believe faith with, and they have community. So touching one life changes the lives of many. And I think that is the best argument for what we are doing here, because when we touch one of my clients' lives and they go through this program and they are successful, it brings success to their entire families and their children and their children's children. So all reform, I'll say a couple things at this time, and we're doing great things here in Cook County, again, at the leadership of Chief Judge Evans, must be aimed at ending the systemic racism and bringing equality to all who come into the system, whether you're an offender, a victim, a family of an offender, a family of a victim. We have to bring equality to everyone. And that then will bring a better system for us. So restorative justice is part of that reform. And I don't say this lightly, because anyone who knows me knows that I push, and I push hard. And I expect results, because those of us who are up here, we cannot stand before you and say just words, right? Words mean nothing unless our actions bring the reform that is necessary. And we are doing the hard work here in Cook County, all of us together, because none of us can work in our silos anymore. We have to work together, and that's what is success. So restorative justice supports these rehabilitative services to individuals and communities in order to make these productive members of society. And I want to say one more thing about the community. When we started on this journey 3 years ago or 4 years ago, and met and had several meetings and took a lot of time and went to New York and looked at our communities and thought, what can we do for our communities, right? Well, we don't know what our communities need. The communities know what they need, right? We knew that restorative justice is community-driven. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Community-driven, community-led. I don't know what Avondale needs. Avondale knows what Avondale needs. Englewood knows what Englewood needs. North Lawndale knows what my clients know what they need. The people who are harmed know what they need. So we knew that this had to be community-driven. And we already have, and many of you might know this, many restorative justice hubs throughout this community. Leaders in our faith-based leaders, our business leaders, people in the schools, people who work in the community, who give services in the community, like for mental health treatment and drug treatment. Those were the people we knew we had to reach out to and listen. What's going on in your community? How can we make change? How can we put forth a restorative justice philosophy of repairing harm for everyone? Because we know that crime devastates everyone. It devastates the victim, but it devastates the offender and the offender's family too. And those are the leaders here who really helped us form restorative justice, bring it to the community in North Lawndale. We've had many successful graduates in North Lawndale, and just like Judge Ryan said, because she's been doing this a long time in the problem-solving courts, it's not just those who graduate, right? It's everyone that we touch. It makes a change. I'm so thankful for, of course, my staff, Crystal Gray, Lori Roper, Trina Smith, and Melanie Newby, who believe in this. Nothing will change unless you believe it in your heart. And all of us here believe it, or you wouldn't be here. And what we believe has to spread to all the other people who don't know anything about what's going on. And that includes our law enforcement. That includes the people in the schools, right? The people who will then, my clients will go to schools and they will be restorative in the way they work in schools, right? We've seen such great work restoratively in our high schools and our grammar schools to help my clients mediate their conflicts without picking up a gun, without committing a crime. Because that's what we know works. If we give them these tools, we know the philosophy, we know the practice, and as long as we all work together, this will bring down the violence. These restorative justice practices will spread. We will help the individuals who come to this court, but we will help many who don't even come to the court, because that's how it works. And I just want to thank, again, I can't say enough to Judge Evans. I know I keep saying thank you to him, but it takes a lot of courage to step up when others don't believe that that isn't the right way to go. That it's just more law and order, more arrests, more prosecution. But we know we're not going to do that anymore. We're going to actually make change, and we already have in Cook County. So thank you very much. Thank you for everything.
Commissioner Bridget Beckman.
I share this area with the County Commissioner Louis Arroyo, who is sitting here in the purple shirt. I'm just here to say thank you to everybody that was up here before me, to Chief Judge Timothy Evans, to the judges who will be administrating this program. At the end of the day, what Amy Cappanelli said was right, that this really is a racist system. In order to change it, we need leadership, and we need the words and the actions behind that leadership. Setting up these 3 courts and broadening these courts throughout Cook County is the only way that we're going to see the amount of black and brown women and men in our criminal justice system decrease. There'll be healing, there'll be responses to this restorative justice court, and the fact that we'll have less than black and brown people in our criminal justice system, and overall, there'll be less taxpayer money that will be then spent on the criminal justice system. So really, it's a win-win for everyone. Whether you believe in this program or you don't believe in this program, it will work, it will benefit us all. And so I'm just here to say thank you so much to the leadership that you see here today. Thank you very much.
Commissioner Luis Arroyo.
Thank you, everybody, and welcome to the 8th District. First and foremost, I'd like to thank St. Hyacinth Parish and Father Stanley for welcoming us here today, and to all the elected officials of government and stakeholders in the community. I just briefly want to read an insert in the package you all have, in case you haven't looked at it. The Restorative Justice Community Court is the first court of its kind in Cook County to adopt peace circles, resolution process for criminal cases for juveniles and adults. Restorative justice empowers the community to create the solutions. I think that's one of the most important things that's in this packet is the community and the resolutions that we come to together. I want to thank Chief Judge Evans, all the judges that are here today, again, all the stakeholders. Thank you for empowering our community. This is where it starts, with our children, with our adults, with our seniors. And most importantly, what I also would like to reiterate is that it's going to take for us and the stakeholders and law enforcement to come together to have unfortunate and sometimes uncomfortable conversations. But they must be had, and they need to be had, not only for our community, but most importantly for our kids. Thank you.
Alderman Aldir Reboiras.
Thank you all. Welcome to St. Hyacinth in the 30th Ward. But I too want to welcome a lot of our colleagues that are here today. I especially want to thank Father Stanley for hosting us today. Chief Judge Evans mentioned earlier. Chief Judge Evans mentioned earlier that we sat in a peace circle. I found out a lot about him. He found out a lot about me about a year ago, and that's what it's all about. Like Commissioner Arroyo just stated, the stakeholders. We are the recipients of what we're doing in this community following today's reception. But I also want to thank our leaders that are in this community. I got Alderman Cardona that's here, Senator Martinez, our next clerk of the Circuit Court. Commissioner Arroyo, thank you again. Commissioner Degnan, thank you for those words. I also want to thank Alderman Rosa and Alderman Rodriguez. I saw her earlier, there she is. But you know, I sat in there and I know what it's like to share stories. And that's what it's about. If we don't share the stories of what you did to this community with the victim that's there, it's not going to happen. Someone asked me a while ago, well, how do you know this is going to work? Well, if you don't do it, how do you know it's not going to work? It's going to happen. We have to have confidence that what we're doing is the right thing to do. The less we put those 18 to 26 people behind bars, we're doing our job, ladies and gentlemen. We're doing our job. You know, and I just now having said that, restorative justice will not be effective, and I'll say will not be effective if there is no participation in dialogue, as the Commissioner Roy stated. We gotta have that dialogue. The North American Council on Juvenile Justice has proven that the dialogue process has clearly reduced recidivism within the community. We intend to do that. We are the recipients that I mentioned earlier, and we're going to support it. Thank you very much for being here.
Alderwoman Rosana Rodriguez.
Everybody, thank you for being here today. I'm not going to speak much. I really want to say that I am very proud to have this court in my community. It's not my ward, but it's still my community. This is a step in the right direction to have safer communities, to keep our young people safe. And this is what we want to do. I have spent most of my life working with young people. And I see the incredible potential that each of those human beings have, and that a lot of times it gets cut short, and we go the punishing route first and foremost. I agree that we have a racist criminal justice system that starts with policing, with courts, with the prison system, and we need to do away with it. This court is a huge step in the right direction. We also need to make sure that we're bringing the resources that our communities need in order to keep everybody safe and whole. Thank you.
Carlos Ramirez Rosa.
Good afternoon. My name is Carlos Ramirez Rosa. I'm the alderman of the 35th Ward, just on the other side of Central Park. I'm a proud Avondale resident, and I'm proud to represent Avondale. And I'm so happy that the Northwest side, that the Avondale community will be receiving this Restorative Justice Court. Because as so many have already said, it is needed. As Judge Beatriz Santiago so clearly said, the definition of insanity is trying the same thing over and over and over again and expecting different results. And the truth is that in the United States of America, we spend more money on our carceral state than pretty much everybody else across the world. We're the developed country with the most people in prison. Let that sink in. We're supposed to be the first world. We're supposed to be the liberal world. We're supposed to be the world of egalitarianism, of freedom, of civil liberties. and yet we have more people locked up than any other place in the world. It has not made us safer. It has cost us a lot of money, and it has ruined many lives. And so this Restorative Justice Court looks at the data, looks at the truth, and recognizes that there's a different way. A way that recognizes the humanity and the possibility for change that exists in every single one of us. So I want to thank Chief Justice Evans for his leadership, for his foresight, for his willingness to lead this court system towards change. I want to thank every single person. So we have thanked Margaret already. I want to thank her so much for all the work that she's done. And I want to thank all of you for supporting this court. I know that nothing but great things are going to be coming out of this building and out of this process. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Felix Cardona Jr., 31st Ward Alderman. When I was brought last year talking about restorative justice, it opened my eyes to a lot of things. But what I got out of it was healing. It brings healing to the offended and also the one who was the victim. And I want to just want to thank the leaders, our stakeholders in our community, for bringing this restorative justice here. This is a starting point to bring healing into our community, and I know it will do such great wonders in time. But thanks again, and thank you, Judge Evans, for your dream and for helping us, helping the next generation of young adults. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Senator Iris Martinez.
First and foremost, welcome to the 20th District, and I want to just thank all my aldermen that are here present, because I know we're going to continue to form this partnership. Judge Evans, I am so happy, because now is which I will be the next clerk of the Circuit Court, to be able to continue with what our current clerk has done in working with you in the whole restorative justice aspect. But one thing that I want to make sure that we always continue to work is the expungement. As a state legislator, so many people have come to us in the past, the last 18 years that I've been serving in the Senate, that come to us 20, 30 years later when they committed a crime back 20 years ago, and today they're trying to expunge their records. And that's why this component is so important, that we can get them early on before it becomes that. I had a gentleman who came to my office, something that he did 20 years ago, and when I heard his story, the first thing I said was, where was your lawyer on this? Because he should never have gotten such severe sentencing. But at the time, it was a public defender, and I know how public defenders are so overworked. And sometimes we have to make sure that we are giving the best advice to our young men and women and start pleading. Instead of pleading out guilty, let's work with them. I think this is the program exactly that's going to be important in us making sure that we can get them early on, and that we can actually, as you see what's going on around the nation, especially around here in Illinois, with so much violence, so many young kids that are on the streets that are lost right now, and we need to make sure that they understand the consequences that they have to take when they are part of something that they might have not known. They jump into a car, but the impact that they are going to make on their family, but on the community. And we have so much healing right now that we need, but it starts here in the circle of making sure we are working together as a community, as a family, as a church, as we all come together in ensuring that these young men and women have an opportunity and a chance in the future not to have to go to Springfield to look for legislation to try to help them expunge their records. Because I think that's also an important component of the restorative justice. And that's to make sure that we look at all the aspects of what's going on right now, how we can make it stronger and better, but in the future to make sure that the clerk's office will continue to work with you on these projects and even expand even more, because right now we have too many things going on. We have too many people in our jail system, but we need to make sure that we can find Even those folks that have been violent, you have to wonder why, what happened in their lives, because we have to look back at what happened in their lives. And sometimes they just need some guidance. And this kind of program starts this. But I think that the fact that it starts at a young age right now, I think it just will create a better future for our community and for society. So thank you very much. Looking forward to the new job. I'm ready and anxious and energized, ready to go. Thank you.
To invite elected officials and community members who would like to help us cut the ribbon.
Everybody's wondering if I've been insulted in any way with these scissors. We got to cut on 3. And I think we have to have the father.
Father,